Peace. What's up, y'all? This is Derek Felton. We're back at entrepreneurship, and today I want to talk to y'all about getting to know yourself. As many of you know, I go to a lot of schools, high schools, and colleges, and some middle schools, and I talk to students about finding their vision or creating a vision, cultivating it, and then having the courage to go after the vision that you created in your mind. And that vision could have anything to do with maybe you want to pass a test, or you want to make a team, or you want to get into college one day, or you want to write a paper for a class, or you want to ask somebody out to the prom or whatever. And that stuff is all good, and that's good for the kids and for young people, but even adults, we need to have a vision, of ourselves, of who we are, what we do, why we're here, what's our purpose. And I'm 38 years old, and I have friends who are around my age, some older, some a little bit younger, and a lot of us are wrestling with the question, well, who am I? Why am I here, and what is my purpose? And I mean, I've written books, about this. I've done courses online, digital courses about it. I've done speeches about this topic of knowing who you are, why you're here, what you're supposed to do while you're here on this earth. In other words, why were you created and then put on this earth? And a lot of us sometimes we only think of ourselves, or we think of that in terms of our work. Like, what type of job should I be doing? That's what most of us connect our purpose to. And we feel, man, once I know exactly the type of work I'll be doing, then I'll know my purpose. But a lot of times your purpose may be related to the job you're doing, or it might not be. Your purpose might be something separate, different from the job that you're doing, at this point, or the job that you will ever do, at some point in the future. Your purpose in life might be something very simple, like just to make people happy. That might be your purpose. Well, you can do that in a number of different settings. You can do it at your job. You can do it helping kids out in an after school program. You can do it by being a trainer at the gym and helping people lose weight. So there are a number of different ways to go about making people happy. Maybe you do stand-up comedy on the weekends, and you do, open mics, and you read poetry. Like, there's a lot of different things you can do to bring happiness to people. You can plant a garden in your neighborhood that beautifies it and makes it look better than what it did just the week before. So defining happiness and making people happy that's something you have to figure out. But I would say this: once you know what it is you're supposed to do, now you become responsible for it. Now it's what you're going to do about it, now that you know what your purpose is. But one of the biggest impediments to getting to know your purpose is you getting to know yourself. In ancient Kemet, which today we call Egypt, when you went into many of the academic learning centers or schools or different places where you went to get an education, there was a sign above the doors that in almost all of these different temples and in schools, there was a sign above the door that said, "Man, know thyself." Those three words: man, know thyself. And it seems like a really simple thing. Okay, man, know thyself. Well, for a lot of us, it's very hard, and we struggle, with that. But truth is, that is the most important part of an education, is knowing who you are. Because you've probably heard the term, don't let school get in the way of your education. And what they're basically saying is don't just allow the subjects that you are studying in school or getting a degree or a professional degree or something keep you from getting to know yourself. That's part of the process of learning, of growing and becoming a well-rounded person, is knowing who you are. So let me just read to you this quick little passage. So the word education actually comes from the Latin term educare. And educare means to go forth, to bring out, and to rear up out of. So when it comes to getting to know yourself, what you're looking to do is bring something out of you that's already there. See, very often we go and we get an education because we want something on the outside to come to us. But the whole idea is for us to cultivate and bring out something that's already living inside of you. In other words, it's time for you to activate what's already inside of you. It's time for you to add a fire to the spark that's already inside of you. And another thing about a lot of the ancients, they knew that a good education was something that empowered people to get to know themselves. And it allowed them to excel at whatever their strengths were. A lot of times we spend a lot of time focusing on our weaknesses, and not to say that you shouldn't do anything to improve a weakness, but we often neglect the strengths that we have, or we dismiss those strengths and we kind of take them for granted. But if you can build up your strength, the things that you're great at, or that you can become great at, imagine how much better of a life you could potentially have if you focus on the stuff you are actually already good at. And how much frustration could you possibly save yourself by doing the things that you're already good at, that you're already born to do? Now, I can't remember the name. It was an old cartoon, but in this cartoon, there was a little boy. He was talking to an older man, and the older man was saying to him, because, like, little boy, do you ask a dolphin how it swims? The little boy said no. He says, well, do you ask an eagle how to fly? The little boy said no. He was like, well, why don't you ever ask them that? And he was like, because that's what they were made to do. So whatever that is for you, there was something that you were made to do. It's something that when people look at you, they should be like, oh man, this person is obviously made to do what she's doing, because it flows naturally. It comes out of your being. It's something that a lot of times you may not even have to try. It just happens. It's almost magical in a sense. And that's what we want to do when it comes to knowing ourselves. We want to bring more magic to our lives. Now, here's another thing that I absolutely love about the old ancient education systems. And what they would do is they had to go through a process of purging themselves mentally, physically, spiritually before they could proceed with their education. So what do I mean by purging? Well, according to my notes and what I've studied here, I'm just going to read it to you. It says that new initiatives to even enter the sacred education process, the new students were first required to purge themselves of physical, spiritual, and mental toxins. In preparation for an education, the initiate had to undergo a cleansing. This included fasting, meditation, and supplication to humble the inner spirit and harness the human passions. So, how many of us actually ever do that? How many of us ever actually take the time to cleanse ourselves of the toxins or the negativity or the bad energies and the resentments and the pains and all the guilts and everything that we struggle with. How many of us have actually taken the time to do that before we proceeded to go into a new venture? My guess is almost none of us do that nowadays, because we get excited about the new venture, the thing we're going to do next, and we just want to bore, right into it. And there's a time and a place to do that. But if your mind, your body, your heart, your spirit isn't right, will you actually ever complete that journey? Because don't get it twisted. You knowing yourself and you educating yourself and you becoming the person that you envision yourself to become will require essentially a process of sacrifice, a process of cleansing. In a sense, what they talk about in the Bible is you don't want to put old wine in new wine skins. If you're going to have new wine, which is your new knowledge of self, you also want to have a new vessel to carry that in. You want to have a new vessel to pour that out of. And that is mainly starts with the renewing of your mind. So what I want to encourage you to do is to take some time to cleanse yourself. Take some time to sit back, take some notes, meditate, think, breathe, woosah, before you go on with the rest of your journey. And when you do that, I believe you'll really be able to prepare yourself for whatever's going to come as you venture down your path. All right, this has been Derek Felton and another episode of Entrepreneurship. And if you all have any questions, of course, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know if you know yourself. And if so, how did you find out who you were? Or are you going through the process of knowing yourself now? And what are you currently doing to get to know yourself? And I look forward to hearing from you. Make sure you all hit that subscribe button. And I'll holler at y'all. Peace.